I'm sorry.
That's okay. Technology is awesome, except when it's not.
Yeah, right?
Okay, this is a meeting of the policy committee. I'm assuming everybody has the agenda for tonight's meeting. It is my understanding that Ms. Prunty has some follow-up from our last meeting, and I think the superintendent does as well. Kevin, you want to start?
Good evening, Joe. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Joe. I am happy to put the agenda on the screen. I believe Kathy is here with us and Kara Prunty as well. If it's okay, Joe, I have...
Please.
Okay. The agenda, of course, I have discussion on action on temporary policies, and that's here number 4. But I thought it would be appropriate that we hear from Kara first, in addition to the recent CDC recommendations for the requirement of face masks on buses and transportation. I wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to review that with the committee, and then also review that with the full board and the community. So first, the state recommendations, of course, this is just alluding to the fact that local school boards will be making decisions about masking in their respective districts. And I've asked if Kara Prunty, on behalf of the local health department, could join us this evening with any recommendations she might have for masking. And I believe she is here with us. Kara, if you wouldn't mind jumping in.
Sure. Good evening. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for having me at this policy committee meeting. The Danbury Health Department has made data-driven recommendations to the school throughout the pandemic. At this point, the city of Danbury COVID case rate has dropped to 8.3 per 100,000 and a positivity rate of 4.2. Danbury has one of the lowest case rates among all the cities in Connecticut. Additionally, our 5 to 11-year-old and 12 to 17-year-old vaccination rate is above or very close to cities of similar size. As of Friday, the CDC loosened up indoor mask mandate recommendations. In following Connecticut State TPH CDC guidance and continuing with our data-driven recommendations, it is my recommendation to go mask optional as of March 1st. This is from the public health perspective, and ultimately the decision is what you as a board believe is the best for the students, but I'm happy to answer any questions regarding this.
Thank you, Kara. Kevin, you were mentioning the CDC came out with different or additional guidance related to buses. I saw that actually late this evening because that was actually in addition to the guidance they sent out last week. Is it my understanding that they have relaxed their advice on masks related to buses as well?
That is correct, Joe. So as of Friday, the 25th, you'll see this line here, effective the 25th, the CDC does not require the wearing of mask on buses or vans operated by public or private school systems.
Thank you. In light of the, Kevin, or unless you or Kara or Kathy. Kathy, do you have anything you want to add on top of it, what we've heard from Kara and Kevin? You're on mute.
You think after 2 years I'd have this by now, I'm sorry.
The story of our lives.
Yeah, I know. Nothing really new to add, just to say that, I want to again thank Kara for her availability to us as a district, that our local health department has been an amazing partner throughout this pandemic. Kara and I are in very frequent communication, and I support everything that she's said tonight.
Thank you, Kathy. And for sure, actually, Kathy, you and Kara both deserve a hearty round of applause and thanks because you guys have done a lot of the hard work here. Unless you have anything additional, I will entertain and make a motion that we recommend as a policy committee to the board the repeal of the temporary COVID policies 12.1250, 5141.8, and 6114.82. Those, now the big one here obviously is 5141 is the one that concerns masks. By repealing these 3 policies, we will effectively make masks optional. Obviously, any student or teacher who wishes to wear one can, but this will repeal the mask mandate effective March 1, which is tomorrow. But it would be my motion that we repeal those and make that recommendation to the board. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
I made the motion. Bridget Girton seconded it. Kate, could you call the roll of the policy committee?
Sure. Although I just want to be clear that I seconded that, unless Bridget, you seconded it also. Sorry.
I saw Bridget seconded on screen. So.
Fair enough. Okay. No problem. So let me just go back here.
Kate, would you like me to do it?
Nope, I got it, Joe.
Okay.
Joe Da Silva.
Aye.
Teresa Bazade.
Yes.
Michelle Coelho. Michelle, are you there?
Aye. Sorry. Yes,
you.
here.
Kate Canetta, aye. And Bridget Girton.
Aye.
The motion carries 5-0. I believe that was the only agenda item. Kevin, do you have anything else that you need us to address at this stage?
No, Joe, those are the only agenda items, and any discussion or questions that the committee might have, but it sounds like we're good.
Yeah, and we obviously have to do this as a full board in 22 minutes or so. So that's the recommendation of the policy committee to the board. Yes, I can't. I'm just looking at a screen, so I don't know who's talking.
Can you see me, Joe?
No,
Can you see
I can't. Hang on a second.
I should be here. Can you see me?
Hang on. I need to get to the gallery view. Sorry.
That's okay. And yeah, I have my paperwork up, so I can't.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask if any of the like for instance, if parents now, are they able to go into the schools? Is everything kind of going pretty much back to normal, or is that
these
something
three
that needs? Mm-hmm.
We are recommending as a policy committee to the board, these three policies be repealed to the extent that people can or cannot go into a building for any reason or whatever is really, I'm assuming, up to the superintendent and the building principal. So I'll defer to Mr. Walston on that. And more importantly, the board hasn't actually acted yet. I assume we will be momentarily, but technically we haven't acted yet. But
okay, thank you.
In terms of access, I think it's really up to the superintendent and the building principal at this stage.
Right. I'm sorry, Joe. I did not hear the question.
What effect does this take us back to basically like normal operation pre-pandemic? Is that basically your question, Michelle?
Yes, it is.
Yes, that is correct, Joe.
And yeah, that would be my assumption.
If we repeal policy 1250, that is correct in terms of visits to schools.
Yeah, that's the motion.
So board members can go and visit schools.
Teresa, you can get your tour of the high school and your elementary school that you went to.
Yeah, and I'll defer to Rachel on that, but I do know that Rachel has asked us in the past if we want to go tour a school, to please coordinate it through Kara in Kevin's office, and then she can make the arrangements so we can go do that.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're
Wonderful.
welcome. You're welcome. If there's no other business for the policy committee meeting, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Joe,
Motion?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry, Rachel, please.
Yeah, I just want to address, a couple of
Please.
things that came out of, that might be good to review in policy committee at our next meeting.
Absolutely.
Our bullying policy.
Yes.
And also I'd like, the committee to consider reviewing our bylaws around public participation.
Yes.
So perhaps we could do that at a subsequent meeting.
We tentatively had policy set for March 16th. If that still works for everybody, I'm happy to have a meeting that day as well.
Okay.
If that were, Rachel, that's if it works for you and if we're ready, we can. In theory, we have that kind of penciled in. If that works, we can do it then. If not, we'll just hold the meeting in 2 weeks.
No, that's perfect. That's great. If we can do it then, just to, go over, those two policies, that would be great.
Yep.
And
fine.
then just a question for Kevin is, how are we supporting those students students who chose to wear masks while mask optional?
Right. So we met with principals today, and we will be sending a communication out after the board makes some decisions around the policies. But that letter number one will just remind the community's responsibility for respecting any choices that our students, families, and staff make, and also reviewing with the principals and building leaders today, making sure that they're a little extra vigilant in supporting that right to choose. And so that certainly first and foremost will be on the minds of all of our leaders and staff who are responsible for kids and kid supervision in our schools. But then also we will
Hello?
You're there.
We will.
Okay, sorry. And so and then in addition, we will send out a communication to everyone, also reminding families as well of the support we will need from them, and make sure that they review this decision with their kids. Our staff themselves certainly will serve in a supervisory role in classrooms, as they always do. But ultimately, the decision and the monitoring of the mask wearing will be up to the children and the families at home. So, of course, as supervision, we'll make sure we support our kids in classrooms. And again, our admin, and we'll be asking them to get that message to their respective teachers. But all of us have to support the right to or right not to wear a mask in our buildings. It's just an option we're just all going to have to respect. We are aware that it could be an issue. And if it is, the expectation is we're all supportive of each other during this transition.
Thank you.
Joe, may I ask a clarifying question?
Of course. Actually, hang on. Rachel,
I'm all set. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Yes, Kate.
Kevin, can I just confirm that is an optional policy both for students and for staff members?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
May I ask a question?
Of course.
Thank you. This bullying that's being brought up now all of a sudden, isn't bullying policy already being handled, or is this just specifically to point out face masks? But isn't it our general, like we just had last week, somebody commenting on extreme bullying and fighting and things of that nature? Is that why this is coming up? Or is this, maybe Rachel, you can answer the question, specifically for the assumption or that, there might be bullying for those who decide to keep their masks? Is this completely just pinpointed at that, or are you referencing the policy from last week's board meeting?
All of the above. I think, I've heard from teachers that, there's been, behavior issues more than normal.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we should review just to have the discussion and see where, if anything comes of it. I don't know, but at least, we should review the policy for the sake of communicating that out to the public.
Will you be sending out that policy to us?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We'll get Kara to forward it in there. If it's in the agenda, she'll have it in there.
I just want to point out, we still don't have our policy book yet.
All of our policies are available off the district website. And generally speaking, when we have a policy meeting, when the agenda comes out by email, the agenda reference to the policy will be linked. If you wanted to print the policy book out, it's about 430 pages. I downloaded it and turned it into a single document PDF.
I thought we were waiting for CABE to update it.
The CABE they're updating it and uploading it. They actually host the website that hosts our policies. So like when you go to our website and you click on policy, it brings you to CABE's hosted site for our policies. and they're all there as currently updated. Obviously, it's when we repeal a bylaw tonight, a policy tonight, it'll still be there for a day or two until they take it down. But they're all there, right off the district webpage. I mean, I have downloaded them all as a single document and merged them as a single document PDF. I'm happy to email that to you if you'd like me to.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. I'll try and email it as one document. It might be too big. We'll see.
May I add something before we close?
Of course.
I just a point I want to make about the masks. Should the board vote that we go mask optional, I think it's important that everyone knows there will still be a couple of occasions where masks will be required. The public health requirements for quarantine for someone who has COVID has not changed. Therefore, whether it's a staff member or a student, if they've had COVID and are returning to school on day 6, they are still required to wear a mask days 6 through 10. Okay. And the other thing is that the nurses will need to be able to use discretion in their health offices. There may be situations where a student may be asked to put a mask on, depending on their signs and symptoms of illness. So those are the 2 exceptions to the mask option.
Thank you, Kathy. There's nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Carrie made the motion.
I'll second.
No, wait, hold on.
Hang
Too
on.
late?
No.
I was trying to ask something, Joe.
Okay.
Can I squeeze that in there?
Yeah,
So we got
quickly because we got to get to the other meeting.
Yep, we got a whole bunch of guidances today regarding delegating and transferring from maskless to optional.
Yep.
Are any of those policies that have not been discussed whatsoever today, from what I can see, other than just these 2 recent ones that might be now added to our current policy, any of that being introduced or considered?
We're
Because
not
that just
adding.
came down.
We just took policy away. We're recommending a repeal policy. We're not adding anything. We're not
Right.
acting
Okay.
policies. What Kathy's
Okay,
referring to are regulations imposed by the Department of Public Health. We don't control those, and those aren't subject to this. That's
Okay,
all.
I just wanted to be clear because I know they just sent stuff out. I just wanted to make sure.
For sure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
For sure.
that.
And it's a legit question. Like CDC only came out with their bus guidance tonight. So
Yeah.
Teresa made a motion to adjourn, and Kate, I believe, seconded it. Okay. Kate, Teresa, Michelle,
Bridget.
and Bridget. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. See everybody at the board meeting in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you. I know that's a little choppy over Zoom. Okay, we have just one item on the agenda this evening, and I will look to our policy committee chair to give us a recommendation and make a motion.
This is mostly for the record because I think most everybody here was also on that call. But for the record, Madam Chair, the policy committee met at 7:00 this evening. We heard from Kara Prunty, the City of Danbury Health Director, from Kathy O'Dowd, and from our Superintendent, Mr. Walston, regarding the emergency COVID measures that had remained in place. We had repealed one policy a couple of months ago, if everybody recalls. But the policy committee voted to recommend to the board, the full board, that we repeal policy 1250, policy 5141.8, 6114.82. The most important one of those is 5141.8, which is the mask requirement. With the repeal, the choice to wear a mask would then be optional for a student or a teacher. They'd retain the right to wear one if they wanted to, but the mandate would be gone. I will make a motion to that effect. I second it. And I actually have to state it for the record. I'll make a motion that the board.
My thing got a little cloudy there. Go for it.
I'll make a motion that the board that we repeal policies 1250, 5141.8, and 6114.82, which will eliminate the mask mandate and make the wearing of masks optional or voluntary by teachers or students.
Madam Chair, I'd like to second that motion.
I already seconded.
Joe De Silva moves, seconded.
Oh, whatever, as long as it happens, that's great.
Al, any discussion?
Yeah.
I will do a roll call out of alphabetical order because that's what I have in front of me. Rachel Chalesky is an aye. Lauren Daly is absent. Catherine Hodgson.
Yes.
Teresa Boutzaid.
I vote yes to repeal.
Thank you. Teresa?
Yes to repeal.
Michelle?
Yes, for choice.
Kay Canetta?
Aye.
Gladys Cooper?
Aye.
Joe De Silva?
Aye.
Bridget Gerton?
Aye.
Albert Russo?
Aye.
Yes, aye. Yes, aye.
And Louisa Zagotis Britton?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Motion passed.
Yay!
All right.
I do just want to thank everyone for their patience and doing their due diligence and waiting all of the guidance that we said we were going to receive. I know we were all under a lot of pressure. So I do appreciate all of you and in the thoughtful discussions that we were able to have. So with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
Moved by Kate, seconded by Teresa. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank